Now that gives me a lot of experimentation capability. I experimented. Sometimes I failed. Sometimes it was good, and I started learning through that. And then you have your speeches and everything where you can choose your own topic related to that and then start presenting. There is, you make a research and then you present it. You have a different way of explaining it. You present it.
Welcome to D50 After Dark, where we have conversations with leaders in Toastmasters District 50. I'm your host, Mickey Bennett, and today we will be having another conversation with our guest, Vijay Tambwekar, and we're going to be talking about storytelling and Toastmasters and customer satisfaction, of course. It's going to be a very interesting conversation. Stay tuned. Welcome to D50 After Dark, and Vijay, welcome back. I am so excited about today's conversation.
Me too.
Now, for our listeners, I highly recommend you make sure you listen to our previous conversation with Vijay about his book, Customer Experience Decoded, because we're going to talk about that a little bit more from a different perspective. Now, as are pretty much all of our guests, you have been a Toastmasters, you have had an experience in Toastmasters among different clubs, specifically a club in our district, the Storytellers Toastmasters Club. And they have a focus on storytelling aspect of public speaking and leadership. And this club has met various needs that you have as a customer. So let's just start off and take a look at your Toastmasters journey through the lens of the customer experience decoded. What was your needs that brought you to Toastmasters in general, or this club, Storytellers Toastmasters specifically?
Good question, Mickey. Interesting one. Let's look whether whatever we preach is really happening there or not.
Yeah.
So let's look at what I was looking at. Okay, at the time before I joined the Storytellers Toastmasters. So I was trying to work with myself. I had a lot of ideas, and I was trying to put it together. Maybe I was fascinated by reading different blogs that people should read my blog. I should be able to write effective blogs and eventually maybe write a book where people will really follow me. Maybe as crazy ideas as everybody had at that time. And I was not successful. I was not getting the hang of how to write an interesting stuff. So I was looking for something. That was my need, to be, one of the primary needs for becoming a successful writer or storyteller or anything. And then similarly, I was also facing challenges in terms of my professional life, where I was growing in the organization. I was leading large teams, and there were very difficult initiatives that I was running, and I was required to convince the teams for doing certain things, although on the face of it might not look that attractive, but with an ultimate end goal of benefit for all and other things. So I needed to tell something in a way that they will get convinced. They will follow what needs to be done, and they will wholeheartedly participate in those initiatives, because it was initiatives with involving everyone for different things and other things. And that is where I was searching for things, and then one of my colleagues mentioned about why don't you learn how to tell stories. And then where do I learn? And that is where she suggested that I should go to Storytellers Toastmasters. They are kind of teaching not teaching, but making sure that you learn how to tell stories, and that is through experimentation of different things, giving feedback, and then maybe rehearsing a few things. So because I had joined earlier Toastmaster, and I was aware that typically the Toastmasters will help me improve my communication skills, presentation skills, and that was something which I had an experience and I was happy with. So I was aware of Toastmaster, but I was not aware of this particular aspect that I will learn storytelling, which is I haven't heard of anybody teaching that anywhere. I tried to see some university courses. There was some book writing course and nothing, but writing, how to write is all your own baby. They will teach about what should be a plot and all that kind of things. But this is something where my need got really satisfied. It was need at the level of almost like level 3, you can say. That I should have to make sure that I really learn. There should be somebody who is going to look from my side that whether I am doing good, where I need help, and how that help is provided to me to write. Because I was very nervous to open up that I am not able to write anything good. So this is where my need got satisfied. It was slowly various Toastmasters, my fellow Toastmasters helped me in building up things. I started writing my blogs. They started becoming a little bit better and better, which I got the feedback about that, and that is how I learned. And then finally I was able to write this book, which I am comfortable to say that it is in a decent shape to read as a story, to understand it as simple language as possible. I have not used any jargons. So how do I make it easily understandable is what I learned. And that is what is story. Stories are very simple. There is no jargon in that. There is no special words. It is a very simple words and few takeaway points that everybody can pick it up. That is the art of storytelling, and that is something which I learned to this extent. I'm not a great storyteller as of now yet. I have still to learn a lot. But at least where I was and where I am, there is a significant difference, and that is what Toastmaster helped. That is the need which got satisfied. So I still recommend my fellow members, my friends, if they want to learn certain things, then Toastmaster is one of the avenues they should look for. Be it a communication skill, be it a team building, be it leadership, be it making things happen. Okay, so that is something which I really like, and then I agree that Toastmasters helped me.
So if we were to kind of organize your needs and clarify them according to your model of customer experience, what are your needs in terms of your seeking out the services Toastmasters provided? What would you say, because you would, in your model, you would figure out what each level of the 5 levels of needs are,
Correct.
right? So walk us through that. What are the different levels of your needs relative to your needs from Toastmasters?
So my needs, typically, if I want to be a writer or a good storyteller, so I need to tell stories, right? That is the whole thing. For that, do I have a content? Okay, so for a story, I need to have a content. So that's the basic level need. Okay, so which is known. Okay, the second one is, do I have the basic language to safely, put that thing together, bundle it and other things. Third one is it coming out well? Okay, all the things are gelling well for making it as an effective one. Okay, so these are the basic things. If I have these 3 things, 3 levels, then it will satisfy most of my requirements for becoming a writer. then it comes to big, best writer and superlative writer. That is level 4 and level 5 and everything, which will be that everything I write people will read and all that kind of thing. I was not intending to go there because it's a long way for me.
Sure.
So I was looking at these three things how I can get satisfied. Now, if I break down certain things, right? Okay, even level content wise, okay, I was very clear. I have the content, so there's no problem. That need is satisfied. What was next?
That wasn't something you needed from.
I did not need any help from anyone. So
that's an interesting point about your model. While there's certainly, you could categorize 5 levels of needs for any customer, it's not necessarily always going to be your business model to satisfy all 5, right? Like there may be some basic level 1 needs that they already have, and that's not what they need from you. Or from
I need from basically from a supplier, right?
Right.
Okay, so I need a certain thing from my supplier. So basic content and basics of how to write a story and other things, Toastmaster has it.
Yeah.
They will tell me, okay, but I know it. So even if they tell me, I'm not going to get additional satisfaction from there.
Okay, because you already have.
I already know that.
Yeah.
What I don't have and I'll get satisfaction is what I receive, what I don't have. For example, how to make a story, how to make it effective.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things, how to think from my reader's angle and then look at it. That is what I receive from Toastmaster.
Sure.
And that is also somewhat received from Toastmaster, which is creating a greater satisfaction for me, which has not been given to me by the other avenues which I was trying to get.
Yeah.
That is how that satisfaction of that need made my loyalty, I don't call it loyalty, but I know it's basically convincing me that this is the right approach and that is the right thing, even if I want to suggest to someone, which really has helped me and then taken it through.
So with your needs, I think you said level 2 would be, you already have the content, you didn't need that. Level 2 of your needs would be like the language that you would use to tell your stories.
Yeah, language, or how do we structure it? So basics of any blog. So now I can write, I can read it anywhere. Okay, what should be the contents of a blog? There are several articles available, several courses available on internet. So there is nothing that additional that I will get from Toastmaster.
Okay.
So that need also is satisfied.
Okay.
Okay, now what the third need is, okay, how do I really structure it? How do I really put that thing together? How do I really use certain words? How do I really use to make it effective? Now that is, if I read on the internet, there is only theory. What I get from Toastmasters is practical, where I get feedback, where I get so that is the need, where looking at putting it together and seeing whether it works or not. That is the satisfaction which I get it from Toastmaster.
And how do they do that?
It's through I have an idea. I have different ways. If I have to put that idea in a very short, there is a table topic. Okay, you can pick up a table topic of your own choice. You put your idea succinctly. Now it takes a lot of thinking to put this whole big idea into a 1 minute or 2 minute stuff. Now that gives me a lot of experimentation capability. I experimented. Sometimes I failed. Sometimes it was good, and I started learning through that. And then you have your speeches and everything where you can choose your own topic related to that and then start presenting. There is, you make a research and then you present it. You have a different way of explaining it. You present it. So those are some of the things. And then you get the reaction immediately. You get the feedback. You have experimented certain things. Yeah. There is a feedback available. There is an experiment. You can correct and then again present it. So that is how you hone your, stuff. And that is how I started writing. Actually, I remember one speech I gave it 3 times for 3 different reasons. To look into language type, then pronunciation type, some using certain different what you call a flair of language and other things. So it's I could see how you grow into writing that particular same thing. If you make an effort, if there is a guidance from someone, you start learning, and that experience started putting me into how do I look at each of my blog, or the paragraph I write, how it looks from this angle, how it looks from that angle, what is going to be the impact. And so I started honing up my, that is what was majorly lacking, and there is one need for me, which was very much satisfied by Toastmasters, and I enjoyed my stay, and almost ready to speak almost every other week. So I have used Toastmasters significantly, and I've benefited from that.
Now, you said when you went to Toastmasters, you didn't go in expecting like the fourth and fifth levels, but just to illustrate the point, what would like that fourth and fifth level of your needs in learning storytelling look like?
It's the effectiveness. Okay, it's effectiveness. It's the language, and understanding the audience, and then doing it much more sophisticated manner as the best orators. I was not looking at that time for that.
Yeah.
But then you can achieve, if you see the contests, if you see the way they speak, and the way they articulate the things, yeah, you can definitely go towards that. But that was not what I was looking for at that time. I was at the basic steps, and I wanted to see if I achieve that level 3 stuff, then you can think of anything. If you are not able to do at level 3 itself, then there is no way you can go for 4 and 5 and other things. So that is what I was looking for.
Yeah. Although ultimately, you went on to not only write more effective blogs, but to write and publish a book. So.
Yeah, actually it helped. So basically that is what I built my confidence, as I was mentioning about whether I was able to compile this together. Blog is a small thing, and book is compiling of so many thoughts and then so many things together into a one story. So it's how they tie together with each other. There are why we have to give examples, how the examples will fit into the big story, big picture. So that is all helped me in write a book. And so the book was okay. I don't know, based on the feedback I will know where I need to improve, but yeah, that is where it
Yeah. So speaking of storytelling and in leadership, how is it, like, why is storytelling important for a leader?
Oh, absolutely. So what is a leader? Leader typically is not a manager. It's basically he's the person who is going to influence you to do certain things. He's going to be making you capable of doing those things. Remove your obstacles so that you can perform your stuff, the team stuff. So if we are talking about these things as a leader, right, what he or she needs is how to convince people, and how to communicate what you want to communicate, which will remain in the minds of the people to whom you are communicating. They will remember. If you want to talk about your strategic plan in 3 or 5 or 6 bullets, rather than you have attached a story for each bullet, why? People remember that. And that is what is critical, because we are used to PPT world, where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the next. Okay. But if we are putting a story attached to each of the bullet point, that sticks. And that is what is critical for any leader, that his team should remember what he is telling. It is not through by hearting, but should remember any time. And then it need not be the same words, but they should remember the meaning or the actions that they are supposed to be doing for
Yeah.
that particular thing. So that is why storytelling is extremely critical for any leader to be successful.
Yeah, I think the way I like to think of it is that you can tell somebody and explain something to somebody in an intellectual way and they can maybe understand it, but what storytelling can bring in is an emotional punch that'll really stay. They say people won't remember what you say, they'll remember how you made them feel. So that story can help bring in the drama, the emotional underbelly of the idea that will make the idea last longer.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's also one of the aspects for that. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Uh, so now that now that you have learned all about storytelling and it's helped you to write a book, how do you plan to use storytelling in the future?
Okay, once I have not learned everything about storytelling. Still
Okay.
have a lot
All
of
right.
things to
Fair
learn.
enough.
Okay, so I continue to use it. I have I started storytelling by incorporating those small stories. Even when I was talking to my son, or I was talking to my friends, and it helped. Okay, I want to continue doing that. Okay, for everything which I do, rather than putting point by point, I'll try and tell story so that it sticks.
Hmm.
It also helps me to articulate better and get the same understanding uh, for both the parties. Whatever I am saying, the other party should understand the same thing, because if I use a fewer words,
Hmm.
a very bullet point type of language, the interpretations could be different.
Hmm.
The story helps in terms of giving a proper interpretation which I am expecting them to interpret.
Hmm.
So that is something which is which is a very effective way to avoid any miscommunication. That is what I have learned, and I want to continue to use more and more about that. Whether it is a day-to-day interaction, or it could be writing another book, or whatever it may be.
Do you have plans to write any more books?
I have some thoughts. I have not. I don't know whether it can culminate into a book or not. There are a few frameworks which I am working on, and it all comes from the experiences which I have in my day-to-day life. It is not something suddenly I think and other things. So if I come across a problem and I find solution, then I start thinking about it. So yeah, I think there are a few things, but I'm not sure, not ready to commit that it will be a book or not. So it's still a very nascent phase.
Was writing a book a rewarding experience for you, and would you recommend other people to try their hand at writing a book?
Oh, absolutely. I think writing really, when you want to talk about a concept, you can talk easily.
Hmm.
But when you want to write a book, then it needs to be vetted. People are going to read it. It needs to be supported by enough of evidence that, and then you should be confident that this thing is going to work,
Hmm.
because you are going to write it. So somewhere you would have tested it.
Hmm.
So all those things need to be done before you say something in a book.
Hmm.
Whereas you can always create a presentation of approach for something and other things, but when it comes to a book, then you need to be more confident. And then how do I do that? How do I present that this is real, that people should use it? That is an exercise in itself, to convince yourself, to be doubly sure that this is going to work if somebody really uses this book and then experiments with this particular concept and all. So that is something which was a very a challenging exercise. I also basically gave this idea to, I mean, the rough draft, to a couple of my friends, thought their thoughts whether it makes any sense.
Hmm.
There was a feedback on that. So there is a lot of things which go through this whole process, and there is a lot of learning. You also change. There are a few things which which I was thinking in a particular way, and by the time I wrote the whole thing, it came out to be totally different. But that is through this process, and then now I'm convinced that whatever is written there makes sense.
Yeah, that's one of the aspects of writing a book that possibly most intrigues me, is that through the journey of writing, your thinking and perspective on something will evolve and reach some higher level of understanding on the topic through the process of writing your book.
Correct. That's true. That happens, and I have experienced that. If you see my, you can see it on my blogs. You will see some of the topics which I have covered here. They have been sketched there. So I used to, basically, if an idea comes to me, I have to write a blog. That used to be my first thing, and then I started working on customer experience, and then there are several blogs. Now once I decided that it needs to be a book, then the ideas are there. Now that needs to be really honed properly and then put it together as a book. You will see the difference between the two things.
Yeah.
And that is what I feel that learned. That is a result of this whole process of going through again and again and again.
Yeah, very cool. Well, Vijay, it's been fun talking to you about your journey to learn storytelling, how Toastmasters satisfied some of those needs, how storytelling is important for leaders, and the journey to write a book about all this help change your perspective. It's been a very interesting conversation. Do we want to leave our listeners with a call to action today?
Yeah, I think couple of things which I could suggest. If you want to improve, you should start looking at yourself. Start looking at your own differentiated needs pyramid. What do you want to achieve? What do you want to do? And then look at it as a mirror for yourself as to if you want to achieve what you want to achieve, what help do you need? Which are the areas, which are the needs which are currently satisfied, which are not satisfied, and start looking at opportunities available or services available from external agencies like Toastmasters or any other agencies that you can to fill your needs or to satisfy your needs. So that is something if we do continuously, then automatically you start achieving your goals or objectives in your life. And then once you achieve one goal or objective, the second will pop up, and that is the typical natural thing for everyone. Once you achieve certain things, you want to do something more, something different. So those new needs will keep on popping up. So use this particular pyramid for your own growth, and then start using benefits from different agencies that provide you for that. So that's something which I think everyone should do.
I like that. So take a look at what are your own needs, you write them down, and write how they are or are not being satisfied, and how things like Toastmasters or books could satisfy each of those needs so that you can pursue that satisfaction.
Absolutely, Mickey.
Very cool. Well, Vijay, it's been wonderful talking to you. I really appreciate it. And for our listeners, thank you for listening to another conversation with us. And keep on listening to D50 After Dark. I'm your host, Mickey Bennett. Good night.